She hasn't stopped the boats. She will not stop the boats between now and the next general election. We do have, by any stretch of imagination, mass migration, total migration of over 1 million last year, net migration of plus 600,000, all on her watch. She should be focusing on trying to fix or deal with those challenges and have really important conversations around the trade-offs. Do we want so many international students? How do we deal with skills shortages? How do we deal with the aging population? These are the questions that she should be answering in speeches, not trying to create wedge issues that bluntly just don't really exist.
Matt Chorley coming to you live from the Conservative Party conference in Manchester, still joined by Ian Martin and Rachel Sylvester. And we've now also been joined by Samuel Kasumu, who was Boris Johnson's race advisor in Number 10, and his book, The Power of the Outsider, is out now. Samuel, how are you?
I'm good, thanks for having me, Matt.
The Power of the Outsider, and you've come to the most insidery event in the world.
Oh, the great irony, of course.
Do you like the party conference?
Of course not.
Why are you here?
I don't know.
Well, we're glad that you are. We're glad that you are. And we should talk about the Conservative Party's relationship with the race. You were Boris Johnson's race advisor. What did you make, first of all, of Suella Braveman last week, saying that multiculturalism had failed, that integration wasn't working? Is she right?
I found the speech quite strange, to be honest with you. Firstly, because I don't think Suella Braveman could give you a really accurate definition of multiculturalism. I was trying to figure out what she meant by that. Did she mean that we have too many people with different faiths, practicing faiths like Hinduism, like the Prime Minister does in the UK, because we're supposed to be a Christian country or what have you? Does she mean that we have too many foreign restaurants in the country, too many, like, I don't know, curry houses, Chinese restaurants, etc.? Or does she mean that the people choose to hang around with folks that are similar to themselves? But we all do that. You know, psychologists and sociologists will tell you that is an innate natural disposition to hang around with that which is familiar. So I don't think she really understands what the term multiculturalism is, to be completely honest with you, and that's part of the problem. Also, I feel like some of the points she was trying to raise were probably about 2 decades too late. You know, Trevor Phillips used to talk about all these things, in the late 90s and early 20s, which was very interesting at the time. But we've progressed as a nation, and I think, bluntly, she's probably behind the times.
What did you make of it, Ian? Because it strikes me that she was trying to conflate lots of things, and that wanting to crack down on the small boats is clearly her priority. But actually, if there are too many people in the UK, it's because they're arriving here legally under the government's immigration rules.
Yeah, but I think you're exactly right. I did read it as an argument about definitions, because the conception of multiculturalism, if you go back 20, 30 years ago, I mean, it in its origin, it was really about the idea that you had lots of different cultures, but you didn't have one unifying culture. So that's the argument I remember 30 years ago, people disputing. She's not. She was clearly saying that Britain has a successful multi-ethnic society, as one of the most successful multi-ethnic societies certainly in Europe. But you look how cleverly and various other members of the cabinet have disagreed with her. But I think, exactly as you say, around that question of the definition.
So, I mean, what's so odd about having this conversation right now is that the Conservative Party's cabinet is the most diverse it's ever been.
Yeah.
To have the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary and the Home Secretary all people of colour, it just seems a weird thing for the Conservative Party to then sort of become embroiled in essentially a race row. Yeah,
well, firstly, the Conservative Party is not trying to be embroiled in a race row. Suella Braveman is trying to pick a fight with folks who are just going around living their ordinary lives. She's trying to distract people from the fact that she's a failed Home Secretary, bluntly. She hasn't stopped the boats. She will not stop the boats between now and the next general election. We do have, by any stretch of imagination, mass migration, total migration of over 1 million last year, net migration of plus 600,000, all on her watch. She should be focusing on trying to fix or deal with those challenges and have really important conversations around the trade-offs. Do we want so many international students? How do we deal with skills shortages? How do we deal with the aging population? These are the questions that she should be answering in speeches, not trying to create wedge issues that bluntly just don't really exist. Most people in the country would agree that the current levels of migration are probably not sustainable for an island like this, and so that's not an issue. So there's no argument here. The argument is completely between Suella Braveman and herself, and she needs to look in the mirror and try and sort it out.
Rachel?
I read this completely as a leadership thing from Suella Braveman. She's trying to position herself as that figurehead of the Tory right for the leadership contest that she believes is coming after the general election, because she's decided that Rishi Sunak is going to lose and is going to be out. Yeah,
I tell you one thing that Conservatives like above anything else, and one of the most unifying factors, is we love to win. All right, behaving the way Suella is behaving, speaking the way Suella is speaking is not how you win an election. I would be very surprised if come the next general election, Suella Braveman is still the Home Secretary, because if she is, Rishi Sunak will have to essentially just write off any of his chances of winning.
Have you spoken to her about this?
Suella?
Yeah.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, when I was in Downing Street, I was closer to Priti Patel. I worked with her on things like the response to the Windrush scandal, etc. So me and Priti were, very much aligned with her. When I ran to be the London mayor, she was one of my first backers. Suella, I know guys in her team, but I'm struggling to understand her reason for existence, to be honest.
And if there are lots of ifs in this, if the Conservatives do lose the next election and she becomes leader, could you stay in a Suella Braveman Conservative Party?
Next question.
Do you think she's racist or playing the race card?
I think she has personal challenges.
So do you think she's racist?
I think she has personal challenges, and some of those challenges are probably because of some of her experiences growing up. She lived in the London Borough of Brent, which is obviously one of the most diverse boroughs in the country, and she's evolved some of her views about certain groups because of those personal experiences. I always say seek first to understand and then to be understood. So when people express themselves in very peculiar ways, very often it's because if you track back to some of their experiences growing up, there are probably some issues there that she probably needs to talk to someone about. But if she does need to do that, I'm not so sure she's fit to be the Home Secretary of one of the most successful, diverse countries in the world. It's frankly embarrassing, and probably she needs to, reflect on whether or not she's in the right position.
And some people will be listening to this and think there's a very weird thing of having a conversation with a young black guy who's in the Conservative Party about whether or not the Asian Home Secretary is racist. How does that work?
Well, Priti Patel is the Home Secretary, she's not racist.
Yeah.
James Cleverly is Foreign Secretary, he's not racist.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister is someone of Indian heritage, he's not racist. I never called Suella Braveman racist, I just think she has some personal challenges that she needs to deal with. And guess what? You can be black, white, Asian and have personal challenges. That's the beauty of the human race. We all have issues. We all have things we're trying to grapple with and deal with, but we can be respectful, we can be humble, we can try to bring people and carry people along with us. And Suella Braveman is not really up for that. She's too busy probably trying to become the next leader of the Conservative Party, which I doubt she will be, because I think our members are far more sensible than to do such a thing.
I'll try once more. If she becomes leader, will you stay in the party?
Is that the last question? So no more questions?
No more questions, so you have to answer it, yes or no.
I'm focused on myself and not Suella.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a yes.
I think so. Look, I believe in people being able to redeem themselves. I think it is not too late for Suella to change tact, become more tactful, more respectful, more interesting, more nuanced. And so I hope maybe party conference and James Cleverly giving her a kick up the backside will be that'll be prompt she needs to change course and be a better Home Secretary and focus on her job and not giving nonsense speeches in Washington.
Samuel, it's really good to see you. Thank you. Samuel Kasumu was Boris Johnson's race advisor at Number 10. His book, The Power of the Outsider, is out now. Rachel Sylvester and Ian Martin, have a lovely rest of your conference. Go and get yourself some tap from somewhere.